Hello everyone, my name is Brenton Friday and welcome to my Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about something I've made and put up on Dungeon Masters Guild. It's called the Ring of Lycanthropy Control. So, before we get into that, I first wanted to apologize for not putting out many videos, but my health hasn't been too great. So if you have been following and you've wanted to see more content, I haven't put any up because I just haven't been feeling that great. So, yeah, but now I'm feeling a bit better, so hopefully I can put more of these out. Yeah, let's get started. First, two things I wanted to talk about before we get started. The first thing I wanted to show you is my new Dungeons & Dragons blog. It is called Component Pouch. Component Pouch D&D is the URL. You'll be able to find links to this in my descriptions and things like that. And we've already got a couple of articles here. And I've already made videos about a couple of things, but I plan to do some more deep dive stuff on this blog, and go into the more nitty gritty of things in terms of the game. So please, if you're interested in that, please hop on and join my mailing list there, and you'll be able to get an email telling you that I've posted something new, and there'll be links to all the relevant YouTube videos and such there. So I really hope you hop on board with that. I'm really enjoying just the writing. I've always been more of a writer than a speaker, so I enjoy writing what I want to say first, putting it up there, and then making a YouTube video based on that content, or doing some more deep dive stuff, perhaps about the more crunchy stuff about Dungeons and Dragons, which I haven't really touched on recently. It's been more fun, flowery sort of things, but now, starting with this video, I wanted to get into the more nitty gritty. So I wanted to share something that I've published recently. This is on latest work. Once my website kicks on. It's called the Ring of Lycanthropy Control. And that's the little spiel there. And there's a link to the Dungeon Masters Guild there. Now it's $3.95 US, which means it's a little bit more expensive in Australian, but I figured, US is a more standard form of currency. So only a couple of dollars, and it would be really great if you could purchase that and support me. If you like it, the content that I'm going to share in this video, I'm going to do a deep dive about my sort of thinking behind it and how I deal with lycanthropy in my games, because I have a werewolf, a player who plays a werewolf in my games. So I made this in response to seeing some of the other stuff the official lycanthropy stuff in the monster manual. So this is a response to that and sort of my little homebrew twists on it. So if you're interested in that, here's the about page as well. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So have a look at my component pouch, my new blog. And the next thing I wanted to say is that my friends and I, who play our homebrew game, are very interested in starting a stream of our game. So if you're interested in that, I would suggest you hit like and subscribe, and really tell us what you're kind of into, and wait for that, because that's going to be happening quite soon. We are intending to kickstart it. The only problem is that we're sort of hanging back a bit because due to the coronavirus, there's been no all the webcams have been sold out, and I can't get my hands on the webcams we want. So eventually we will be doing a Kickstarter for that, hopefully. So if you're interested in that, stick around. Our game is a lot of fun. It's definitely not like other games. It's very a bunch of lads just sitting around the table, sort of drinking some booze and slashing some orcs. We try and do some more. I'm personally, I love the deep storytelling stuff, but of course I try cater to my players as well, and we have a lot of fun with some slashing and fighting. So yeah, hopefully we get that started soon. But if you're interested in that, stick around. And yeah, so those are the two things, pointing out my blog, and also letting you know that we're planning to stream soon once things start moving along in the world. So let's talk about the main topic of the day, the Ring of Lycanthropy Control. Okay. So this is on DM's Guild, as I said, for $3.95, and here's the little cover I made. Everything players and dungeon masters need to create lycanthropic characters in a supplement for the world's greatest role-playing game. So let's zoom in now and begin the deep dive. Okay. So all these images have been sourced for DM's Guild, and that's really cool. I really loved looking through the images and finding that. And I've made this in Word. This is actually my first attempt at publishing something on DM's Guild. So I gave it a red hot go and tried to format it. I think I'll have to use another program. Word was a bit tetchy. It's really hard to write in Word. But yeah, this pretty much, this is a gift from my player, Brandon Myers. How this started, session 0, of course, he came up to me, and he's a massive Teen Wolf fan, and he came up to me and said, "Listen, want to play Rogue?" I'm like, "Okay, cool, yeah, that's great. Like, I would love to, every party needs a Rogue, you know?" He's like, "But I want to be a werewolf." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's have a look." I was a new DM as well at the time, so I didn't have a clue. I mean, as far as I was concerned, if it wasn't in the player's handbook, it didn't exist. So I had to poke around, and I did find some stuff in the monster manual, and but I wasn't super happy with it. I knew that he would have wanted to turn into a werewolf at will, and so I decided to twing it a bit. I decided to tweak it a bit, and so this is what it's come to, and it's definitely not a final product. I'm willing to make a second version and make changes, but this is the final product for now. So yeah, I've done a little disclaimer there, which is really fun, and some a thank you to my family and friends, the boys, Eric as well. Thank you for reading over this and checking it out. Okay, so these are the chapters. There's introduction, bestial transformation, the effects of lycanthropy on humans, magic items that control lycanthropy, sanity and alignment shifts, role-playing a lycanthrope, and lunar cycles. So let's get stuck in. Here's the introduction, just explaining how to use this supplement. Pretty much what I've said here is that it's primarily made for combat, obviously. You know, you want to be tearing things apart. It's a curse and not a class, so there's lots of downsides to becoming a werewolf, obviously. You know, becoming sick, becoming crazy, tearing up your friends with your wolves, with your fangs in the middle of the night, you know, eating a farmer's sheep, killing an orphanage. You know, there's lots of things that's bad about being a werewolf, but the point of this supplement is to try and harness the inner power of lycanthropy. So there are severe negatives, but there's also positives if you're able to work for them. If you're able to embrace the chaos that this new form of lycanthropy brings, then you're going to love the results. Brandon is a type of player, is what I would call, in the Dungeon Master's Guide, an instigator. He loves touching things and prodding things and seeing what happens next, and he loves chaos. He plays a chaotic neutral rogue, and he's not afraid to push my buttons as a dungeon master. And so he's created something that I've created something for him that caters to that chaotic nature. He's not afraid to turn into a werewolf and kill his friends because he sees that as a really good time. If it's an accident, it's just funny to him. And I really love that, and I try and play into that for him. But yeah, there's a recommendation here not to give this to low-level players. I actually gave this to him from the get-go, from level 1. And I did have to make some changes. Like, I turned it, instead of immunity from all sorts of damage to resistance. And I made some other changes, which upon hindsight was a bit broken, considering I was also using the HP of the monster stat rather than his HP hit points. So yeah, I struggled with that a bit, but we managed to tweak it. But yeah, you don't want to be in lycanthrope on the lower levels, I think. Maybe leave it a bit later until they're bitten or something like that. This supplement relies heavily on communication between the dungeon master and your player. it's as I'll go into there. For the most part, when you transform into a werewolf, the dungeon master will get control of you. It's only later, once you find the coveted Ring of Lycanthropy Control, that you have full control of your character. But as that progresses and you collect the magical items that you need to harness the power of lycanthropy, you can gain more control. But until then, you have to live with the chance that you could hurt someone or you could hurt yourself very, very badly. As you're making a choice to pretty much keep a curse. There's got to be consequences about that. Most reasonable people will go to a cleric and say, "Hey, get this thing out of me. It's dangerous. I'm scared." Only the truly sick become a lycanthrope. So yeah, how to use this book is probably the most important part here. You need the 3 core rulebooks. This is a supplement for the 3 core rulebooks. You need the Player's Handbook. You need the Dungeon Master's Guide, and you need the Monster's Manual. Most specifically, the Monster's Manual. This is where it relies heavily on the Monster's Manual. Lycanthrope section in the Monster's Manual, which contains lore, how your werewolf operates, or whatever. I say werewolf because that's what Brandon is. How your lycanthrope operates in combat, how to curse things, and all the stat blocks and everything like that. So let's get started into the nitty gritty. Bestial transformation. We've got every chapter I've put in a little spiel from the characters in our game. I've sort of taken their voices and turned them into characters, which I hope they appreciate, my friends. Okay, so the way this type of lycanthropy works is that it's triggered by blood, the smell and sight of blood, and the full moon. But mostly blood. There's more blood in the world than there is full moons. So you're triggered, and there's a Constitution saving throw here. So I've decided to make it that a DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your Constitution modifier. It allows scaling for the character, and pretty much you're rolling against yourself to transform. So that's a bit odd. But you are rolling against yourself. So within 30 feet of smelling or seeing fresh blood, you could transform into a raging monster. So you're wild and aggressive. Your DM might take over your form. I don't know. This is a matter of trust between you and your dungeon master. Are you willing to have your dungeon master effectively turn you potentially against your own party? The lycanthrope, of course, acts according to their instinct. Will they attack? Will they run? That's very contextual. So you roll your Constitution saving throw, and you can decide whether to embrace or resist the transformation after the initial transformation. So you roll to transform, and that's where the Constitution saving throw comes in. And then you can decide upon transformation whether you want to embrace the curse or resist the curse. So embrace obviously means there's less chance for you. You're deciding to stay in that form and cause chaos. So you roll your saving throws, your continued saving throws, with disadvantage. And with resist, it's advantage. And each one, there's different, coming back into consciousness, there's different results for that. Embrace, you fall unconscious but stable. Resist, you suffer 2 levels of exhaustion according to the Appendix A conditions in the Player's Handbook. So combat and cursing others relies on that section in the Monster Manual. So I suggest you look at that. This supplement really does rely on that. This is just a note on racial and class features. For example, you could be facing a lycanthrope that is an elf and might have the Fey ancestry feat, racial feature, where they're resistant to being charmed. So here are the effects of lycanthropy. This is where I've done my own sort of thing. This appeared organically in the game, where Brandon was like, well, surely I'll be able to smell better because I'm a werewolf. I've seen that in television shows, in Teen Wolf or whatever the hell he watches. But I thought, yeah, that's right. And so I gave him advantage on that because I'm a softy of a DM. I haven't really gotten to the stage of punishing my characters yet, so I'm a bit of a softy. But here, we've got all the bestial traits where you can channel your inner beast, your inner monster, in your humanoid form to perform remarkable things. So, like, bestial flair was one thing. We did again. This occurred organically, where you can have advantage on a charisma intimidation check, by flaring your eyes up, and they can see the monster within you. You know, sort of like I guess, the best thing I can think of is like a Naruto thing where you can see the inner demon and blah blah blah. You know, animal constitution. This is gross. You can eat rare meat without becoming poisoned or diseased, or something like that. That's just gross. Can you imagine a player character just eating rare meat as a human or an elf or something? That's horrible. And all these some specifically for like werewolf or werebear or wereballs or weretigers, and things like bestial flair and animal constitution apply to all. And it's up to the DM and the player to decide how many of these you have access to. I wouldn't suggest giving them all at once. Maybe dripping them to the player would be a good idea. But yeah, I think they add something to the excuse me. I believe they add something to the curse, which is really fun, and some new tricks up their sleeves. They're very limited though. Only according to short rest or long rest or long rest. I didn't want to try and make this too overpowered. Here's the bread and butter of it. So how can the character slowly gain control over their lycanthropy? And the answer I came up with was, of course, magic items. I didn't want this to be a class. He wanted to be a rogue. And so I wanted to offer options to other players that perhaps are paladin or rogue or druid. And give them that option rather than say, I did see something like the Blood Hunt, I think this Order of the Lycan, which is really cool, but he wanted to be a rogue. So, yeah, that's what we came up with, and we'll see as we play into these more powerful magic items. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it's completely broken. Maybe it's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Brandon hasn't come across all these items yet, but here's what they are. Amulets of Lycanthrope Sealing. So this is where two separate players, have two separate amulets made of the same material, and one player can effectively seal the other player in a in spectral chains. It mimics Hold Monster, except I've said spectral chains for flavor. Just and yeah, that's one thing. They have to be close to them and push against the chain. He hasn't discovered that yet. He's made this. This was a made item by him. Ring of Bodily Fortification. He met a transmutation wizard and a transmuter, and so he's got proficiency with Constitution saving throws now. He also found this, the Ring of Lesser Lycanthropy Control, and this is he's using an older version. This is the newer version, so this is giving him much more control over his form. He's less likely to transform at the sight of blood now. He doesn't have a choice with the full moon, but with blood he has less chance. And also, if he is attacking his allies, there's a strong chance that he won't attack his allies anymore because of this, his semblance of control. Now the final and of course the most coveted item of all is the Ring of Lycanthropy Control. And this was created by a great wizard. I think I name dropped Mordenkainen in our home game. My players were amazed. Who the hell is Mordenkainen? This came to me at the top of my head. So if you wear and attune this ring, you cannot transform at the sight of blood or the full moon. You have control now. You can't lose control. Although on the full moon you feel sick and are considered poisoned. So the full moons are still a bit of a punishment for players. You have control. You can now use the hybrid form action. So in the book, the monster manual, it describes how you can use become a hybrid form, and this is the special thing that this ring does. You can now use the hybrid form You know, you can, if you're Werebear, for example, you can wield an axe or whatever else. You can't talk in your bestial form. And you can transform as a bonus action. And you can transform up to 6 times before dying. You suffer a level of exhaustion each time you switch back. So that's sort of the main... I still wanted this to be, you know, you've got a curse and it's exhausting to maintain this curse. It's a blood curse. The ring merges into your form, but if you remove the ring, if it's stolen, your player's character, their alignment changes to that of their bestial form. So if Brandon, for example, is a werewolf, if he loses the ring, if his finger is cut off and stolen, he will turn into chaotic evil. And that's some serious ramifications for an adventuring party. Having one chaotic evil player is something that, you know, you need to get solved. Because that could turn nasty very quickly. Here, we've got another mechanic that I've played with, sanity and alignment shifts. I wanted to... Being a werewolf or something like that is a real psychological, torturous affair. Especially if you're willingly maintaining and trying to tame a power that you can't fully understand. So, got some notes on roleplay here. And here are the options. You've got cumulative choice. You can, every choice you make to resist or embrace the curse, the DM will count. Eventually, one day, that's your last choice. You've resisted it or you've embraced it. Sanity Scores. This is in the Dungeon Master's Guide, Chapter 9. New ability scores. You can start rolling for madness after every change. And that, of course, will affect your character. If your character is having nightmares or sweats or is completely catatonic, you know, that's some scary stuff. So the DM is welcome to use that. Dungeon Master's Choice. This is the more free-flowing narrative option. And this happens with most alignment. And we can all agree that alignment in Dungeons & Dragons is a pretty arbitrary thing, and there's not many mechanical uses for it. So the Dungeon Master can perhaps decide, well, you've transformed, you've attacked a village of orphanages, you wake up and now you've got a lust for blood in your humanoid form. You're lawful evil, or you're neutral, or chaotic evil, or whatever else. And that's the Dungeon Master's Choice. That's a very free-flowing narrative that I think a lot of people will enjoy. And here's what we've been using. Eventually it was just a 1 on the D20, but I decided to make use of the poor underused percentile dice. There's a 10% chance after each transformation that that your alignment will shift. So yeah, there's that. Here's some role-playing tables you can play with. How did you get your lycanthropy? What is your motivation for keeping them? Something small there. Even if you wanted to roll randomly, you're welcome to do that. And here's a note on lunar cycles. Remember, it's your world that you're playing with. And you can have 3 full moons in a week. Sure, your players might not like that, or you might not like that, but it's up to you. It's a whole new world. And here's a little thing about the momentary lapse. This is a new form of lycanthropy there. So yeah, that's pretty much all of it. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun playing with a werewolf. And I really hope that you all enjoy this sort of read through. And I hope I don't mind. I'm happy to share this, but I would really appreciate it if you really like this and you want to use it in your game. To go onto DM's Guild and purchase it. It's only a couple of dollars, and I'd really appreciate it. It was actually quite a few hours of work to try and refine this and try and match it to the style guide and the feel of the game. And if you do purchase it, and I thank you if you have, I would really appreciate feedback. Because I know this isn't perfect. There's got to be something wrong with it. So if you do have some feedback, please drop it in the comments. Drop it on DM's Guild. Give it a rating on DM's Guild. That is what I would really appreciate. So yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like my videos, I've got Twitter, so you can follow me. I think it's @BrentonFriday. Twitter, I'm very new to Twitter. It's not very popular, I think, in Australia. But yeah, we've got Twitter, I've got Instagram, and I like posting up photos and things like that there. And we've got the blog, Component Pouch DND. Component Pouch DND is the URL for that. And you'll be able to find links to that in the descriptions here. So if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I know I'm going in circles now. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you.